It is day 40 of the Israel-Hamas war. In these 40 days, we've seen Palestinians leaving their homes, Israeli troops entrenching themselves further into the Gaza Strip, and a bitter war of words on who's right and who's not. And now, there are calls for the Prime Minister of Israel to resign. Yes, after 40 days of this grinding war, Netanyahu is facing calls to go, both from the country's opposition and the people of Israel. Let's start off with a statement made by Yair Lapid, the former Prime Minister of Israel and now the leader of the opposition. He has called upon Netanyahu to leave, to step down from the Prime Minister's post. That appeal was made earlier today in an interview to Israel's Channel 12. During the interview, Lapid accused Netanyahu of poorly handling this war, almost insinuating that he was deliberately prolonging it. Let me just quote his exact remark. Netanyahu needs to go now during the fighting. We will sit in government under another candidate from the Likud. There are many people there who understand the country is going to a bad place. We cannot allow ourselves to conduct a prolonged campaign with a Prime Minister that the public has no faith in. I want to stress on that last line, a Prime Minister that the public has no faith in. Now, how can Yair Lapid be so sure about that? Does he have evidence to back that claim? Do Israelis really want Netanyahu to go? Now, it helps to look at some surveys, the numbers. Take this one, for instance. It was conducted by Israel's Channel 12 just last week, and the findings say majority of the Israelis want Netanyahu to resign. What does this majority comprise of? At least 76% of those surveyed, they all want Netanyahu to go, 76% of them. Meanwhile, 64% others believing that an election should be held immediately after the war. So clearly, Lapid's suggestion does have takers. But what explains this is the immediate question. Well, anti-Netanyahu sentiment has been prevalent in Israel for quite some time now, even before the war started. There were demonstrations against his proposed judicial overhaul. Almost every month, there were thousands of Israelis, remember, marching on the streets, asking Netanyahu to reconsider his contentious plan. And then the war happened, and the protests subsided. But 40 days into the war, the protesters are back, and this time they are demonstrating against Netanyahu's failure in getting the hostages back. Just have a look at these visuals. They are from Tel Aviv. On Wednesday, family members of hostages taken by Hamas gathered in the heart of the city. They chanted slogans against the government, slamming it for failing to get the hostages released, accusing it of failing to perform its duties. Listen in.
We came to tell the government and the Minister of Defense that we want our loving families back home now. We don't have time to wait. Ohad is 9 years old. He just turned 9 on the 23rd of October. I don't want him to be back on his bar mitzvah when he'll be 13. We want them now.
Tonight we are trying to tell the Israeli government that enough is enough. Already 40 days went by, and I have 3 grandchildren and the daughter-in-law there in Gaza. One of my grandchildren is 4 years old. He doesn't know Hamas, he doesn't know time, he doesn't know nothing. The authority which is responsible for my family being captured in Gaza is the Israeli government. Any government in the world is supposed to protect its citizens. The Israeli government didn't do its duty. Therefore, it's the responsibility of the Israeli government to bring them back.
Now, these statements are a testimony of the growing anti-Netanyahu sentiment. That sentiment, in fact, is growing by the hour. But the thing is, will it be wise for a leader to step down in the middle of a war? If yes, how do Israeli leaders and the people expect this transition to really take place? I mean, electing a new leader is no piece of cake. The process is time-consuming. Do they expect decision-making for the war to be kept on the back burner during that process? How would that work out? Here's what Yair Lapid has suggested. He says that he is ready to create a quote-unquote national reconstruction government. He says this government should be led by the Likud along with ultra-Orthodox parties. Avigdor Lieberman's Yisrael Beitenu and Benny Gantz's National Unity. His only condition is that Netanyahu should not lead it, that the Likud party should replace him with someone else. Now, has this suggestion found any takers? Not yet. In fact, Netanyahu's party has slammed Lapid's remarks, accusing him of seeking to establish a government that would pursue the Palestinian cause. Here's what it said, I'm quoting. It is unfortunate and shameful that Lapid is playing politics during a war when he suggests ousting the Prime Minister who leads the campaign and replacing him with a government that will establish a Palestinian state and allow the Palestinian Authority to control Gaza. So on day 40 of the war, this is what we have. The IDF getting deeper into the Gaza Strip, Hamas playing a game of hide and seek in the tunnels, and growing anti-Netanyahu sentiment across Israel. The coming days are crucial to say the least. They will determine the fate of this war, also the fate of Netanyahu. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.